but we are imploring you to just take another look and to allow the process to go a little further before you make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you. David Johnson, and then Matthew Kepler.
My name is Dave Johnson. I signed a card, speaker's card. I've been in Sarasota since 1957 and resided out in Old Miakka for 44 years. And I'm just going back. Everything the previous speakers have said regarding it for different reasons and stuff, but basically asking to give this consideration so the reasons can be more detailed. And one of the things that sticks in my mind is overdevelopment, which is a problem, and it's going to continue to be a problem. And one of the things that adds to it is we're already so far behind in the infrastructure. We're having a problem with the runoffs that we've not really been into a rainy season like this in over 18 years. If you look at the average rainfall over the last 18 years, we've never exceeded it. And when you have more and more development, you're going to have more and more runoff. High Hat Ranch is going to be developed. This development, all the stuff that is going along and being put into Fruitville Road, where Lorraine Road is connected south of Fruitville Road, eventually ended up in Venice. And all this traffic is being dumped onto a two-lane road. And it's behind in the infrastructure. This is one of the reasons to bring this into consideration, so the facts, the pluses and minuses should be looked into. And that's why I'm asking that the commission would, allow this amendment to be passed, basically for the opening up the reasons why to remain. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Matthew Kepler, Fred Wernicke, and Shanna Keller.
Hi, my name is Matthew Kepler. I filled out a card, resident of Fern Creek Estates, out east on Fruitville. I grew up in Sarasota, lived here since the 80s. My wife and I moved out east to raise our children, to raise our family there. We did that because we don't want to live 2 miles from the nearest grocery store or the nearest shopping center. We want our kids to be able to play outside, not worry about traffic, not worry about strangers. We want our kids to see wildlife. We want them to see the stars. And when we allow development in rural areas, when we allow urban sprawl, we deprive families who value that. Not everybody wants to live in a city. I think we should really consider any development east of the highway, the impacts that it has on that lifestyle out east, also the environmental impacts. I think those have been overlooked by a lot of the comments here. Miakka State Park is right down the road from here. Imagine all of the runoff, all of the pollution from the fertilizers, the pesticides. It's eventually going to make its way into the river, make its way down to the Gulf. I think we really need to consider conserving this rural heritage that we have. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you, everybody else.
Thank you. Fred Wernicke, and then Shannon Keller.
Good afternoon, I'm Fred Wernicke, and I signed a speaker's card, and that is my son, Matt. And I just wanted to say that I'm actually a resident of the city of Sarasota for over a quarter century, but I have 2 reasons as a stakeholder. Just, my son moving out there, and we love that area, the Burn Creek Ranches, and all the area around it. But we also love Miakka River State Park, and that is one of our concerns, that building a hamlet, a city, a village, whatever it's going to be called, so close to the park. I wonder if an environmental impact study has been prepared to see what the waters are like that, how they travel across the grounds towards Miakka. It's a very wet area, all the rural area in that area, as is Miakka State Park. And we're fearful that if an environmental impact study hasn't been performed as to what would happen with all the extra population living there and their runoff, how that would affect the park. But Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Shannon?
Shannon was called back into work.
Okay, thank you. Morgan? I don't pronounce the last name.
Pucci.
Height?
Pucci.
Okay. Come on up, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Morgan Pucci, and I've been a resident of Sarasota for almost 4 years now. I live right at the end of Fruitfield Road in the Oak Ford complex, which is 5 acres or more. And I have to say, I moved here specifically because there was space, there was a rural heritage, there were animals available, and there I could take part in the rural heritage that could be passed down to later generations. I don't know how much time any of you spend out there, but it's absolutely glorious to see cows, horses, all kinds of animals, part of the life of these people. And I think you should really consider. My understanding, 2050 was approved a while ago, and it needs to be followed. It's only just that what was agreed to is followed. I come from an area where 50 years ago, between our house and another house was nothing but farmland, miles and miles of farmland. Now, you can't see any houses except they're so totally surrounded with them. And it's turned into an ugly, ugly place with crime and all kinds of things. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but it turns out that with builders and all kinds of developers working on things, you can see how various other places that were supposed to be this small grew all over. And you had a lot of houses right next to each other, right on top of each other. And the lake, I'm not sure about the name, the Lakeland Estates is one example of that. Anyway, that's what I came to say, and I want to thank you all for listening. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Freddie Ash, Chris Delore.
Hi. My name is Fred Ayash, and I'm a paper. I have one question for the attorney. Please, what do you know about law water runoff? Water trespass law.
The purpose is for you to let us know what your thoughts are on this potential petition, so.
Okay, I thought he is the attorney, he knows about water law trespass.
Okay.
Okay, is law like another property develop and change different way, now flood me. So that's it. And it's the case it's been happening. And that's the case it's been happening is 15 miles, 18 miles. So, okay, now my turn. We're talking about the flood. That's just now about the people. Mr. Crab, he really know he bought flat land and swamp land. So he know what he bought. It's good for grow rice, because that's your agriculture, or grow there. So that's the map. This property of Miakka is 88 feet high. and you here is 16 feet above sea level. So you develop all the high land to flood the low land. You flood yourself. For we used to 5 acre, we hold all the wetland, everything. Now you pay him for flood us and flood you. And Siesta Key is 3 feet level above the sea level, and you go more and more and more. So, and the first, what I understand your job is the safety and health and fiber, and there's fiber now is gone because no fiber anymore, but the safety and health for the taxpayer. So, and that's why BKIS and Community Club choose this route, because the first hamlet is the flood zone, because you took 1,000 acres from floodland and wetland, and you took the floodland, you dig it to fill the wetland, and there the land is 1,000 acres, now it's a floodland, and that's why is the law about runoff. So that's 1,000 acres. Sarasota is against mining, and now we give them 600 acre mining for fill 400 acre mining for flood us and flood you, because that's what the law and the commission will tell you. I still have time.
No, you're right. It was actually,
I
yeah, he started.
Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Orr.
Hello, I'm Crystal Orr, and so I will be brief. I signed a speaker's card. Basically, I'm here in my capacity as chair of the Manatees Sarasota local group of the Sierra Club. And I ask that you process CPA 2019-C. I would just like to add that my personal concerns are water quality. I mean, this, this overdevelopment that we are seeing has a huge impact on our water quality, and I bet you could ask anyone in this county and they're going to tell you that they are concerned about water quality. Also, I'm concerned about what we are leaving for the future, because we borrow the land, the environment from our future generations. So we really need to think about that when we're planning and building. And so I hope that you all will take that into consideration as well. Again, please, I'm asking you to process CPA 2019-C. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up is Paul Mercier, former Commissioner Paul Mercier, followed by Alexandra Coe if she's returned.
Boy, I could watch that like I'm an NBA player. First of all, my name is Paul Mercier. I'm about 41, 42-year resident of Sarasota County, and I know I still talk funny once in a while. I'm sure El Mayo was enjoying the heck out of me standing here, because it used to go the other way around. I just wanted to stop by and add a few things. Number one, I would ask you five, as you go through this, as I've seen some of the other decisions you've made, have a vision. I think what I got bogged down with when I was a county commissioner is you're working so much on what's in front of you, you don't have a vision of where you want to take people. And the Miakka residents have always known where they want to go. And I had some of the fondest memories of working with those people, from the schoolhouse out there that needed help. And so I think we need to look at that. The issue of growth, I think I challenge everybody here to, when you go home, go on Google and put in your age and ask what the population was of the United States at your age, and then put in today's, what's the population today. It will blow you away. If we stop procreating, we won't have an overpopulation problem. But people will still migrate to Florida because it's one of the greatest places in the country to live. So I would ask you to take your time on whatever decision you make on this. one of the gentlemen mentioned night, and I have to just bring this up because it prompted. We used to transport our kids to games, and one time we were out in Miakka, and I stopped on the dirt road, shut off all the lights in the car, and they were in awe. Wow. Then they started getting scared because they couldn't see anything. But they still talk about that. I mean, that area is very special. The 2050 plan, I was one of the signers on that. We put in many, many hours, late hours, into almost midnight. At one point, the paper quoted me in the editorial that I took the books we have, and I know we've changed, I'm showing my age, but I put it on the passenger side. The car told me that I had to buckle up my passenger. That's how heavy those books were. And you know, you got guys like Rod Krebs, I love Rod, Becky Iasher and I have not always agreed, Rod and I haven't always agreed. Almeida and I haven't always agreed, but you know what, we always had civility. And my last comment is to the public in general. What we did with the last election to go district commissioners was a travesty of justice, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna pick on Mike Moran, he's District 1. He'll probably vote against, he'll support whatever, and I'm not picking on you, Mike. The other 4 commissioners, they don't have a dog in the hunt. They're down in nobody in Northport, and I don't mean this literally, but people in Northport aren't into this. And the people that are here aren't into things in Northport. We need to have commissioners that are held accountable countywide. This district thing is gonna eat our lunch when it comes to making decisions. And with that, I thank you and good luck.
Thanks. If there's any other cards, please turn them in now. I don't appreciate people waiting on the end to tend to be the last speaker. So Alexander Coe and Gayle Reynolds.
Good afternoon, commissioners and county administrator and staff. I'm Alexander Coe, and I did sign a speaker card. I was asked to come today to speak. I've over a decade of working with the rural community, studying cattle ranching community in Sarasota County, and I also work as an anthropologist within agricultural and rural development issues. Some things, of course, that you already know, and you know, the way that I look at this amendment is, you know, this is a group of people that live in Sarasota County that feel that their way of life is threatened. And they seek to have this amendment in order to try to protect themselves from what they see as development encroaching on their way of life. You know, we know that the 2050 plan, the development in East County is still an overlay. You know, that's one of the things that this community continues to remind Sarasota County government and the developers, that you know, it's still 1 house per 5 acres per 10 acres out there, that this is an overlay. And, you know, they see Mr. Krebs asking for more density as just a vision of the future that is not their vision. You know, as the previous speaker had said, you know, we ask that you have a vision for what does the future of Sarasota look like. You know, are we trying to have Sarasota completely built out by 2050? We won't build any more houses, we'll have everything developed. You know, we have so much more information. I would love to throw the 2050 plan out. We have so much more information about what communities look like, why it's important to balance rural and urban landscapes. You know, one of the things I caution you against is my own personal dilemma with development. I have a 5-acre piece of property that I bought 20 years ago, that when I bought that piece of property, it was on the edge of town. That piece of property is now in the middle of town. I have a 50-foot river that flows through my property every summer. I have a 100-year flood event every summer. What is going to happen if we don't get a grasp on balancing our environmental resources, our rural properties, and our urban development, we're going to find ourselves in a situation like places like New Orleans, where the government is going to have to buy property because we're flooding it. The gentleman that was trying to explain, you know, you build this up, the water goes somewhere. So I just ask that you pay attention to what these people are really asking for. And they're really asking for you to respect their rural way of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Gayle Reynolds. Last card is Kathy Benz.
Hi, my name's Gayle Reynolds, and I'm the Conservation Chair for the local Sierra Club. And I worked on the 2050 plan in 1999 to 2001. Followed it closely, commented on it for the club, and we thought we ended up with a fairly decent plan at that time. And since then, there have been many amendments to that plan, and development at the end of the county was not something we ever planned for in the beginning. It's a very definition of urban sprawl. And there are no water facilities out there, so the sewer and water has to be run out there at the taxpayer's expense, I'm assuming. And it's not appropriate. High-density development on top of the old Miakka community is not appropriate. So I would ask that you advance the competent amendment to staff today and let them proceed. Thank you.
Kathy Benz.
Good afternoon. I'm the president of Friends of Seagate, which is a environmental organization. I also participated in the development of the 2050 plan, and a lot of us have seen that it hasn't really worked out the way we had thought it would. And I think that to take this proposal and let staff explore the possibility, we'll bring back to you an opinion by staff as to whether or not it's something that should advance. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the speaker cards that I have. Mr. Spade, did you have anything to bring it back from a staff's point?
Well, I'll just repost on the Elmo here, the possible motions.
Actually, could you ask you a favor? Can you put back up the criteria that you put up early on that we're to consider of whether or not to do this?
Well, they're not necessarily whether the criteria, those are things that staff would need to look into.
Okay.
I can put those,
Yeah, I just want to see them again.
Yes. So these are just typical things that with comprehensive plan amendments are kind of issues to be looked at in the general sense.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff? Mr. Ziegler?
Maybe a question for Jonathan, but, what, you know, if we decide to move forward with this, what would be the total cost, for the entire process?
So, I'm gonna ask our director to come forward. Do you know approximately what we spent on the public initiative one we're doing? Assuming 3 or 4 ads and everything else is staff time? I would guess under $5,000.
A comprehensive plan amendment application starts with a $5,000 application fee, which is then drawn down for processing. I can tell you, depending on the complexity, in this particular case, the scoping would have kind of estimated that at being double that, probably at least 10,000.
I'm not including staff time. I mean, I'm asking about hard costs.
Yeah, it'd be basically the 2 advertising.
Mr. Dieter?
Well, I thought I saw somewhere